This is not just a story, it's a memory, one that's etched deep into my heart. A true story from years ago. A painful personal experience that changed the way I see love, life, and loss. It's about someone I loved deeply. His name was Lou. He wasn't just a dog, he was a part of me. And today, I want to share his story with you. If you've ever loved an animal, if you've ever had to say goodbye, this episode is for you. Goodbye, my beloved Lou, a true story of love, loss, and memories. It was a rainy afternoon when I first saw him. Scrolling through social media like any other day, I stumbled upon a picture of a little Alaska puppy. Those eyes, so innocent, so pure, looked right into mine. And in that moment, I just knew he was meant to be mine. I had always dreamed of having a dog. As a child, I had a love for animals that no one could quite understand. Not even me. There was something so comforting about their presence, their unconditional love. But life was never easy. Money was always tight. And I never thought I would be able to afford a dog of my own, let alone one as beautiful and majestic as an Alaska. But I refused to let go of the dream. I started saving every penny I could. It wasn't much. Sometimes I had to skip meals or walk to work instead of taking the bus. But every day, I added a little more to the jar. 10,000 VND here, 15,000 there. Every coin was one step closer to my dream. Months passed. The thought of having Lou in my life kept me going. And then the day came. I finally had enough. I made the call. I arranged everything. And on a bright morning, I went to pick him up. I remember the first time I saw him in person. He was so small, yet so full of life, bouncing around like he had never known a moment of sorrow. I could hardly believe it. This beautiful creature, this puppy who had no idea what was waiting for him, was going to be mine. I named him Lou. It felt right, like he had always been with me, waiting for me to find him. In the days that followed, life became a routine of pure joy. Lou and I were inseparable. He would wait for me every morning, his little tail wagging, eyes shining with excitement. I loved how he would jump up and down, as if saying, "Come on, let's go. Let's start the day." Every morning, I would take him for a walk around the neighborhood. The park was his favorite place. There, he would run freely, his ears flopping in the wind. As I followed behind, laughing. At home, I would bathe him, comb his fur, and just hold him close, feeling the warmth of his body, the softness of his fur against my hands. He was not just a dog to me, he was my friend, my family. He filled my life with a kind of love I had never known before. The simple moments were the best, the way he would curl up next to me at night, his head resting on my lap as I stroked his fur, or the way he would sit by the door, waiting for me to come home from work. It was these moments that made me feel like everything was perfect. Life was so simple then, so pure. But as with all good things, it couldn't last forever. One morning, I woke up to find Lou not bouncing around, not jumping up and down to greet me. He was lying still in his bed, his eyes not as bright as usual. I called his name, but he didn't respond the way he normally would. I thought maybe he was just tired. Maybe he had eaten something strange the night before. But the next day, it was the same. He wouldn't eat. He wouldn't play. His once playful nature seemed to have vanished, and in its place was an eerie stillness. I rushed him to the vet, my heart pounding with fear. I tried to stay calm, but deep inside, I knew something was terribly wrong. The diagnosis came. He had a condition that needed immediate treatment. It wasn't just something that could be brushed off. I had to act fast. I remember standing in the vet's office, my hands shaking, as I looked at the bill. I had saved up some money, but it wasn't enough. Not nearly enough. I had never felt so helpless in my life. I didn't know what to do, but I knew I couldn't let him suffer. So I emptied my wallet, my pockets, everything. I handed over what I had, hoping it would be enough to save him. But even after all of that, it wasn't enough. That morning, in the early hours of the day, Lou passed away in my arms. It happened so quietly, so peacefully, as if he had simply slipped away into a dream. I cried harder than I've ever cried before. The tears wouldn't stop. My heart ached in a way I had never felt. I held him close, not wanting to let go, not ready to say goodbye. I didn't have enough money for a proper cremation. And in that moment, I made a decision that would haunt me forever. I didn't want him to just be left alone, to be forgotten. So I took him to a quiet, empty field, far from the noise and the people, and I burned him. I didn't know what else to do. I just wanted him to be at peace. I prayed that in another life, in another time, he would come back, maybe as a human, and live the life he deserved. Even now, as I sit here and tell you this story, the pain doesn't quite fade. It has been years, but every day, I think about Lou. I think about those simple moments. The way he would look at me with those trusting eyes. The way he made my life so much better. I know he's gone, but he's never really left me. His spirit lives on in the memories we shared. I hope that wherever he is now, he knows how much I loved him. And I hope that in another life, we will meet again. It was a time in my life when everything seemed so uncertain. I was living alone, unsure of what direction my life was heading, when something happened that would change everything. I had always been an animal lover, but I never imagined that one particular puppy would impact my life the way Lou did. I remember the first time I saw Lou. I had saved up for months, working long hours to afford a special gift for myself, an Alaskan Malamute puppy. I had always dreamed of having a large, strong dog, one that would be a loyal companion, and there was something about Lou's eyes that spoke to my soul. I named him Lou, and from the very first day, I knew my life would never be the same. When I first brought Lou home, he was just a tiny, fluffy bundle of joy. I spent every moment I could with him, playing, feeding, caring for him. He wasn't just a pet, he was my little friend, my constant companion. I'd take him out for walks every morning, even before I went to work. And after a long day at the office, I would rush home just to be with him. Those moments with Lou were my sanctuary. We spent countless hours together, running through the park, playing fetch, or simply lying on the couch, sharing moments of quiet peace. I remember how his tail would wag furiously whenever I came home, how he would look at me with those innocent eyes, as though he had been waiting all day just for me. It was a bond that I hadn't known I needed. But once I had it, I couldn't imagine life without it. But then one day, something terrible happened. It was a warm, sunny afternoon, and I was sitting at home watching TV when I noticed that Lou seemed off. He wasn't as energetic as usual, and his eyes were dull. I called him over, but he just lay there, barely lifting his head. Panic set in. I immediately rushed him to the vet, praying that it was nothing serious. But deep down, I feared the worst. The vet gave us the news. Lou was seriously ill, suffering from a disease called jaundice. His liver was failing, and the prognosis was not good. My heart sank, and the world seemed to blur around me. The vet said we could try to treat him, but it would be expensive, and there was no guarantee that he would make it. I didn't care about the cost. I just wanted to save him. I emptied my wallet, draining every last penny I had to cover the medical bills, but nothing seemed to be working. I spent every night by his side, talking to him, comforting him. I could feel his warmth fading, and every time I stroked his fur, I felt my heart breaking. Lou was more than just a dog to me. He had become a part of me, a piece of my soul. The worst day came when I had to face the fact that nothing more could be done. Lou's health had deteriorated so much that the vet suggested putting him to sleep. I couldn't bear the thought of losing him, but deep down, I knew it was the kindest thing to do. I held him in my arms for hours, whispering sweet words into his ears, telling him how much I loved him, how grateful I was for every moment we had shared. As I sat there with him, tears rolling down my face, I thought back on all the happy memories we had created together. The walks in the park, the late-night cuddles, the moments of pure joy when I would throw a ball and watch him chase it with unbridled enthusiasm. Those were the moments that made it all worth it, the moments that I would carry with me forever. The decision to let him go was the hardest one I've ever had to make. I remember that night clearly. I held him in my arms as he passed away. His little body, once so full of life, now still and cold. I couldn't help but sob uncontrollably, knowing that I had to let go of someone I loved so dearly. I stayed with him long after he was gone, holding on to him for as long as I could. But the grief didn't stop there. I couldn't bear the thought of Lou's body being taken away to be disposed of, so I made a choice, an agonizing choice. I used the last of my savings to have his body cremated. The thought of never seeing him again, of never feeling the warmth of his fur against my skin, was unbearable. I took him to a quiet, remote spot in the countryside where I could say goodbye one last time. The flames flickered brightly in the night, and I sat there watching them, feeling as though my heart was being consumed by the fire along with Lou's body. As the fire burned, I found myself reflecting on the love and joy that Lou had brought into my life. I realized that, even though he was gone, his spirit would always live on in my heart. He had taught me so much about unconditional love, loyalty, and the beauty of living in the present moment. In the days and weeks that followed, I struggled to find meaning in the loss. But eventually, I came to understand that Lou had come into my life for a reason. He had shown me the true value of love, and I was forever changed because of him. I still miss him every day, but I now carry him with me in a different way. I hold on to the memories of the joy we shared, and I keep them close in the deepest part of my heart. And even now, as I sit here and share this story with you, I can't help but smile through my tears. Lou, my sweet boy, you will always be a part of me. I will never forget you. And in some way, I know that you are still with me, watching over me in everything I do.